All right, hello and welcome to Alien Brain Astrology. Today we're going to be talking about today's transit. Okay, now what was really interesting, as you can see here, right? You can see here on the chart. This is the chart for today at 8:30, 8:30 a.m. And this is the 24th of September, 2025. Welcome Libra season. All right, we're in the equinox. All right, and we can see that over here. The sun is at 1 degree 43 minutes of Libra. Okay, we have Mercury in Libra as well, 10 degrees. We right now the ascendant, the constellation in the sky right now in the east is Libra. Okay, and that has implications. Okay, that has implications for this video. And when this video is released, the ascendant will have implications as well. But let's get into it. We'll see how this performs. And that'll be research as well for me. All right. So, Sun in Libra, Mercury in Libra. It looks like Mercury in Libra. Well, the Sun at least is opposite Neptune in Aries. So that's interesting. And what's really important, really stood out to me, is Mars is in Scorpio. Okay, Mars is in Scorpio. I do like when Mars is in Scorpio. I like Scorpio season in general, personally. It's not for everyone, but I do enjoy it. We have Mars in Scorpio directly conjunct the Moon in Scorpio. Okay, this is interesting, and what's really interesting. Oh well, Uranus is in Gemini, so that's all right. That's all right. Moving on, we have Pluto, 1 degree of Aquarius. North Node is in Pisces, 18 degrees. Saturn is in Pisces at 28 degrees retrograde. Saturn is very strong when it's retrograde. Any retrograde planet tends to show up strong. And of course Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, retrograde as well. We have Uranus at 1 degree of Gemini, retrograde as well. And then we have our exalted Jupiter in Cancer, 21 degrees. Now, just face value off of this chart, we got about, let's count them. All right. Oh yes, Venus in Virgo, 6 degrees. Venus does not like to be in Virgo. Okay, it's a little uncomfy. Okay. But I digress. For some is great, for others not so much. But let's count how many planets are 0 to 1 degrees. Like, they're very new, very young. Okay, when a planet is in the early degrees, it's like a baby. Okay, it's very young, the expression. So let's count how many of these bad boys. All right, we got Sun at 1 degree, Libra. Mars and Moon, 1 degree of Scorpio. Okay. Pluto, 1 degree of Aquarius. Neptune, and of course Pluto is retrograde. Neptune retrograde, 1 degree, 0 degrees of Aries, right? So it's gonna exit. It might exit Aries, not anytime soon, too soon, but it will. Uranus, 1 degree of Gemini retrograde. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planets at very young stages. Okay, and this obviously has implications when we have planets that are so young. Okay, it's easy for these things to manifest. Think of a toddler. They can be naive. Oh, I didn't know, they could have best intentions, but when, think of when a toddler or a young child gets upset, what happens? It's hard to kind of hold it in. Okay, so that's one of the implications here, right? Now, we like Mars in Scorpio because Mars is at home in Scorpio. And when Mars is in Scorpio, things can get a little dicey. Okay, depends on how we use it. Mars in Scorpio, I mean, really quickly can be good for studying, good for like deep research, Okay, getting to the bottom of things, good for investigation. Again, getting to the bottom of things, of course, depending on where, wherever Scorpio is in your chart is going to tell you a little bit more. But Mars in Scorpio can be strategic. They there's a lot of fighting power here. Okay, because Mars is in right now the feminine expression of itself, right? Like the Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. Aries is the masculine expression. Scorpio is the feminine expression. Usually feminine expressions, they're not so overt. Okay, and this is Scorpio. They're not so overt. They're not going to tell you about their feelings. They're not going to tell you about their intentions. They're definitely not going to let you know what games they're going to play. Okay, and when Mars is here, they do it with extreme force, right? When Mars is in Scorpio, they are very strategic, okay, and they can be very cutting in a way that you wouldn't see coming, okay? Mars in Scorpio, right? Very high sexual energy. More depending on where this Mars is, right? We'll tell you about the actual stamina and how long they can keep it up. But when Mars is in Scorpio, there is they like the taboo games. Okay, if we're talking sex, they like the tabooness of things. They like power dynamics, like push and pull when it comes to power. Okay, another thing about Scorpio is that they really like the person that they're with. They like to see that person has power, right? Authority or power. Okay, whether they know it or not, that's what they like. All right, they really, that's, and I jokingly call, this is why I jokingly call Scorpios emo Leos, because a Leo don't have a problem asking for attention. A Scorpio never will. The gag is both of them need attention. Okay, they love it. Scorpio just won't ask. No. You have to read their minds, baby, and because they are pretty good at reading minds, and they're pretty close. And Scorpio will sense undercurrents of things. Okay, so when Mars is there, they can really pinpoint accuracy, figure out the motivations behind what someone is doing. Okay. Now, when the moon comes into contact, see, the moon doesn't like to be in Scorpio either. Right? The moon doesn't like to be there because Scorpio is fixed water, which is kind of like ice. The moon is a flowing kind of planet, right? You don't want to solidify the emotions. Okay, when emotions are solidified, this is when you can't get over things. This is when you have a problem letting things go. Okay, if we look to the opposite of Scorpio, we see Taurus. Taurus could give okay, Taurus don't care. Okay, Taurus is like real like they're kind of the surface level in a way. I'm not saying that they don't have deep emotions. They do, because there's a fixed sign. A fixed sign will definitely feel some type of way, for sure. But Taurus is more, it's easier for them to kind of like, at least on the surface, not show too much investment. Scorpio, I mean, they won't, because we're talking about the same axis here. They have the same ability to hold on to something. But with Scorpios, I mean, since water is emotion, okay, their emotions really come to the forefront. Okay, they really feel it a lot more. Okay, whereas Taurus is earth. Okay, and earth is a little bit more practical, right? So the practicality part kind of steps in with Taurus, right? They're able to kind of more effectively forego the emotions. Scorpio, when the moon, okay, and it's funny because if the moon actually falls in Scorpio. Okay, it's at its weakest in Scorpio. The moon is exalted in Taurus. You see? So the moon really does not like to be here. This fixed water, this ice, doesn't like the solidification of emotions, right? Emotions are healthy. Like, to have healthy emotions, we gotta allow them to ebb and flow and go in and out. They visit us for a little bit and then we let them go, right? And we try not to hold on to the really super negative things because they can cause a lot of damage, right? They can bring down huge ships as we could icebergs can, right? And this is what Scorpio is. It's like a giant iceberg. When we talk about the moon in Scorpio, it's like a giant iceberg, right? And they can sink ships, okay? Relationships, okay, honey, you get what I'm saying. When the moon comes into contact with Mars, though, and Mars is very strong. Mars is strong in its home sign of Scorpio, and the moon is weak in Scorpio. This is where anger could come about, and I was definitely feeling this earlier on today, and this is why I really try my best to limit my activity on Instagram, social media, because it's so easy to get pulled in. But one of the things that I saw today was how destructive it can be to hold in one's anger and grief. Okay. And I just thought that was so interesting because I literally just looked at today's chart and I saw that the moon and Mars are together. Okay. And, that's an example of how, the universe will send messages sometimes, right? Because you'll get hits, and then I go and check it, and there it is, right? I saw a post about how grief, unprocessed anger and grief, how it affects women, okay? And the moon rules women, right? Especially mothers. And we all, most of us, and especially young women, or women that will like see this in their own mothers, how much their own mothers were putting up with, and of course this is in different contexts, right? Immigrant mothers, women of color, all kinds of situations, right? But nonetheless, doesn't matter. Women in general have been socialized to forego their emotion, like their anger. Women are socialized to not to kind of push their anger down, right? To kind of deal with it by helping other, exporting their energy, okay, using their energy to help someone else or do something for someone else, rather than to address it. Okay, it's uncouth. People are, and you will look at this and you'll see this. People are very uncomfortable when a woman starts to yell, cuss, and scream. It's almost like, if a man does it, it's like, oh yeah, it's almost normalized. But when a woman does it, what's normalized is that, oh, it's weird for a woman to do that, to get angry. And I'm here to tell you that women have every right to be angry. Everyone has a right to be angry at something. Anger shows us our boundaries, and this is the reason why Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of boundaries, limits, and restrictions. And so when Mars is strong, it's definitely going to get upset when you cross its king boundaries. Okay? When someone crosses your boundaries, the natural reaction to that is anger. Okay? And when we look at this chart, we see Mars is at home in Scorpio. And when Mars is comfortable, guess what? It's comfortable getting angry. How it's going to show that anger is dependent on the sign that it's in. Okay, and then of course where it's at in the chart. Now, like I said, when Mars is comfortable, that's what happens, right? Mars is masculine. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why, like, you can say that, women, the moon rules women as much as Venus does, right? Just different aspects of there's a little bit of difference between them, but moon really rules the mother, okay, the mother figure, and everything that surrounds the mother figure, the nurturing, the comfort, the care, right? And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about anger. I literally saw this post having to do with anger that mothers have, especially women, and then especially mothers. A huge percentage of women have develop autoimmune diseases, and the autoimmune diseases really come from, and there's studies that show this, come from withholding one's anger, not dealing with it. And we see that here today, the moon crystallizing. It doesn't like it, crystallizing in Scorpio. Directly conjunct Mars, the aggressor, right? The soldier. Mars associated with conflict and anger, violence. The Mars represents cutting away of things. Mars rules iron, knives, sharp things, cutting away. We must learn how to respond to our boundaries being crossed. And Mars teaches us how to do that. And Mars in Scorpio, if Mars is in Aries, that's where you get the cussing and the screaming and the verbal, that's usually like, oh, I'm going to throw hands. That's Mars in Aries. Mars in Scorpio, no, they play the long game. You put your hands on a woman and she got Mars in Scorpio. Oh, what you don't know is that she's planning to chop both of them hands off. One day you wake up and it's just nubs, honey. Okay, but that's how Mars operates. That's obviously hyperbole, but that's one of the ways Mars will operate in Scorpio, is that it'll take its time. It'll take its time. When Mars is exalted in Capricorn, Capricorn's a cardinal sign, they're quick. Cardinal signs are quick. They do things quickly. And of course, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. I explained that. Right? And this is, it's so crazy to me, like how today is showing up like this. Now, what does this mean really in the grand scheme of things, the broader? Well, let's see. Yes, Mars is squaring Pluto. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Y'all see this? Mars square Pluto, an orb of 1 second. Or was it 1 minute? 1 second. That's crazy. That's close, honey. Look, yes. Why didn't I catch this? Oh my God. Mars and the moon conjunct each other, directly squaring Pluto. Hey, yo. Pull up a second. Hold on. Wait a minute. Skirt. Wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. Okay. So we just talked about the power of Mars. Okay. The next power planet is Pluto. Pluto has everything to do with power dynamics. Okay. And how do you begin to feel powerful? Where do you feel powerless, and how can you start to feel powerful? Okay, Pluto will take away things from you. Okay, Pluto is a brutal planet. Okay, it's a brutal one. Okay. When Mars is squaring Pluto, this is extreme force. Okay, this is extreme force. And because Pluto is a co-ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto is sitting in Aquarius, squaring, Scorpio, squaring Mars, this is someone, if anybody has Mars and Pluto square, they can be cutthroat. Okay, because square aspect is a hard aspect, and there needs to be balance. Okay. This is a competitive person. This can be somebody who's trying to win it at any cost. Okay. And they're very much, this is extreme. Mars is already an extreme planet. Pluto is an extreme planet when they're in hard aspect to each other. Like this can create extreme anger. because Pluto is one of those generational planets. Oh my God, I can't. So when we talk about mothers, okay, it's not just not now. This is big picture now. Okay, like individually, like in a natal chart, this can point to extremism in one's aggression. Okay, you don't want to cross the boundaries of this person. You really don't, honey. When we talk about Pluto, is also generational. So Pluto is a planet that has to do with, again, taboo things, where some like very dark, very dark things. When we talk about someone's power being taken away from them, their autonomy being taken away from them, Pluto can come into play. And when we have a conversation between Pluto and Mars, this can cause, Mars is reactive. And so Mars will react to the wrongs that they feel, which is Pluto. That feeling of powerlessness. And then they're trying to get their power back. Mars will react with extreme force. Okay. When we have the moon in play, okay, anybody that has moon squaring Pluto, anybody that has moon squaring Pluto in their chart, they will have mother issues. They will have like a power dynamic between them and the mother. Okay, the mother could be overbearing. The mother could have invaded their privacy. The mother could have stripped them down in a way. The mother could also have taught them things that you won't necessarily expect a mother to teach them, which would be related to how to get their power, how to remain powerful. Okay, it could go either way, but usually 9 times out of 10 when I see moon in relation to Pluto, there are very deep, strong, deep feelings of extreme feelings, because the moon is your emotions, right? Your feelings, and Pluto is this deep, strong, like planet having to do with power. So when and this will come from the mother, the interactions with the mother. So anybody with moon Pluto connection, especially a square hard aspect, you're gonna find mother issues. Okay. With Mars and Pluto, you might find abuse. Okay, when Mars and Pluto are in square aspect, you might find some type of abuse. So right now, today, what we're dealing with on a large scale is women really coming to terms, being angry about their boundaries, they're like not having power. Okay, not having power because this is extreme. When Pluto comes into play, it's extreme. Pluto Mars, that's extreme. And then the poor moon is not doing well. Okay, and it's getting fire like from Mars, and this like intensity from Pluto's intense from Pluto. I mean, mother, check in with your mothers today. I know I certainly will have to, but yeah, this is gonna be a rough one, and you're gonna see this. You're gonna see this in the news. You're gonna see this in social media. This theme of anger, of women feeling this, and mothers feeling this anger, and learning how to deal with it. Okay, how to express it. And I think in general that it's healthy to express anger. A lot of religions and a lot of, people will tell you that you shouldn't be angry. But last I checked, we were all human beings. And one of the emotions that human beings feel is anger. And we won't be able to learn about our anger if we don't feel it. And we won't be able to understand ourselves better if we don't feel that anger. And we won't figure out how to alchemize it and how to use it and how to, nurture it. I like to say I have a really close relationship with anger. I am not one of those people that can hold it in, that can keep it in for very long. It's a little too heavy for me. And so, I learned, I can't stop myself from like getting it out, right? And so this can seem like I'm, you know, angry all the time, and but it's also one of the reasons, because I'm able to let my anger out. It's one of the reasons why uh, people immediately know that they can't cross me in certain ways, right? And I don't want to say I'm like, I'm a somebody that loves conflict. I can do conflict if I need to, but it goes. You show people how to treat you, and if you're one of them people that say, "Oh, I don't get angry," anyone that says to me they don't get angry, there's a problem there. They're usually the angriest people, because they've held it in, and we should learn, and everyone's different, obviously, but we should learn not to hold it in. And that's one of the stories that's being told today in the transits, right? Because there will come a time when it has built up and we have to release it. Because if we don't release it, it eats away at us and we implode. And there are many examples of women imploding because they're not heard, they're not being taken seriously, their anger isn't honored. So women have, been taught to really, like, they would much rather hurt themselves than to reveal the truth about how they feel. Then that shouldn't be. So anyway, there's an incredible story being taught right now. And another thing I wanted to point out too, we have the sun. Sun is a masculine, opposite Neptune, and the sun is in Libra 1 degree, and Neptune is retrograde in Aries. So this is a great day. Again, they're opposite, so you're not gonna have the full picture. Okay, you're not gonna have the full picture today. Awareness, if the awareness you're right now, your awareness is best used in an intuitive way. Okay. It's especially when we have we have Mercury, yeah, it's kind of a bigger orb, but again, Mercury's are like kind of logical mind, right? Our mathematical mind, our scientific mind. Opposite Neptune. Neptune is everything but okay, everything but that logical scientific mind. This is the day to really let your imagination fly. This is the day to not really make too many important decisions, because the sun, wherever the sun is, that's where our awareness is. That's where we're going to see things. When it's opposite Neptune, Neptune casts a fog on things, right? So we might not be seeing the other clearly. Okay, and Libra is all about relationships, and opposite to Libra is Aries. So we might not be able to see our relationships properly, our business. We're definitely going to be missing things. Okay, we're definitely going to be missing things, and so today is best. Meditation every day is best, but if you can do some creative thing today, let your intuition really flow today. That would be better than doing things that are a little bit more logical. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I got for you today. Today's a little bit of a heavy one. Check in with your moms, check in with the women in your life, and give someone the space to be angry. Give yourself space to be angry. Learn to alchemize. Okay, so especially, like, you'll see women when they go through a breakup, they'll like cut their hair and change their hair color, and change your style. That's alchemization. That's literally how to alchemize, because you're taking that hurt and that pain and you're turning it into something else, and that's alchemization, right? So with anger, you want to alchemize it. You want to use that anger to do something, to because energy is never like destroyed, right? You can't really destroy energy. You can only direct it and change it, channel it. So, you know, get acquainted with your anger, give yourself that time to feel it, right? And then decide, like, how you're going to use it. Okay. You don't need to nuke the world to use it. You can build in anger. And many things have been built in anger, right? Feeling angry. Many great things. So let's do that. Let's try that today. Thank you for listening, and hope to see you guys more frequently. All right. Peace.